Vicarious trauma is a term coined by Perlman and McCann to describe the phenomenon whereby an individual who works with victims may begin to experience symptoms similar to those of post-traumatic stress, even though they personally did not experience the traumatic incident. In later works, these authors provided a more thorough definition of vicarious trauma, which described it as a process of change that happens because you care about other people and feel committed or responsible to help them. Over time, this process can lead to changes in your psychological, physical, or spiritual well-being. In order to understand the process of vicarious trauma, it is important to first understand the concept of empathy. Occupational therapists identify empathy as a critical skill of enablement. It is deemed necessary to foster client-centered therapeutic relationships. Merriam-Webster define empathy as the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the thoughts and feelings and experiences of another. Therefore, when a client discloses a traumatic story, research indicates that most therapists experience strong internal, emotional, or somatic responses. Furthermore, they admit to finding interactions with the victim of trauma to be emotionally draining, often leading them to feel fatigued. In some instances, these negative feelings can persist beyond a given therapy session. The therapist may find themselves replaying the client's trauma story and reliving those negative emotions. They may experience feelings of overwhelming despair, irritability, or even insomnia. These effects of upsetting client interactions are cumulative, and over time they can cause changes in the therapist's schemata, coloring their view of the world. They may take on pessimistic views of the world and those around them. The therapist may begin to distress others, lose their sense of security or well-being, and begin to feel hopeless and/or helpless. Furthermore, the therapist may experience the hallmark symptoms of post-traumatic stress, such as nightmares, flashbacks, and intrusive thoughts or memories. Although the incident did not happen to the therapist personally, they begin to adopt the client's experiences as their own memories, often casting themselves in the role of victim. These memories and dreams are vivid and realistic. They become disruptive to the therapist's sleep and can contribute to fatigue. The adopted memories may also further color the therapist's cynical views of the world. Additionally, the signs and symptoms of vicarious trauma include social withdrawal and isolation, feeling emotionally disconnected or distant, physical problems such as aches or pains, difficulty managing emotions, trouble making decisions, problem maintaining boundaries, especially in therapeutic relationships, hypervigilance, this may include becoming overprotective of a child or spouse, trouble within relationships such as distrust, or loss of meaning and hope. The effects of vicarious trauma can permeate both the professional and personal life of the therapist. As mentioned, vicarious trauma is thought to be rooted in empathy. Therefore, this issue is extremely relevant for those working in occupational therapy. Those starting their career are especially cautioned as they are at higher risk for developing vicarious trauma. This is due to the fact that many have yet to develop the coping skills needed to work with victims. Individuals with limited social supports may also be at a higher risk as they often have less distinction between their work and personal life. Finally, anyone who has their own trauma history should be aware that working with a victim may act as a trigger. They may identify more with the victim and may as a result experience secondary trauma. Individuals who work with victims state that maintaining a balance in their own life is key to their well-being. Intentionally participating in lighthearted or enjoyable activities provides a much-needed distraction from their work and helps them re-energize. Others emphasize the importance of ensuring your own physical well-being, stating that self-care activities such as eating well, making time for exercise, and ensuring adequate rest are essential. Reflective activities such as journaling and meditating are also recommended. Therapists found this useful to organize their thoughts and become aware of internal dialogues. Negative thoughts can be identified and reframed, as can upsetting experiences. For example, it's important to emphasize that you did make a difference and you helped that person even though their situation was very negative. A few therapists also recommend having your own psychologist or counselor, as this can be very beneficial to have a professional opinion and an outsider's perspective. Changes can also be made at the organizational level to reduce the risk of employees experiencing vicarious trauma. Proper training regarding trauma recognition and vicarious trauma prevention can be key. Also, ensuring the schedule allows for adequate time for rest and holidays for each therapist. The therapist's workload should also be diversified, both in responsibilities and the type of clients they're receiving. Finally, providing adequate supervision to recognize the red flags of vicarious trauma should it occur and intervene accordingly. The following resources provide additional information on vicarious trauma as well as free training on prevention. Additionally, the SAOT offers networking and mentoring opportunities which may be useful to therapists seeking to connect with others working with victims or in the trauma sector.